Hey world, this is it, the most driven podcast on the radio. Welcome to The Driven, a podcast brought to you by the kick-ass nutrition science team at mDrive. mDrive is all you need and all you need to know in the world of more energy, more focus, more stamina, and more drive. I'm your host, Rick Baroff, longtime ultra-endurance athlete and mDrive ambassador. We're going to talk it up with a wealth of amazing, passionate, dedicated, and driven guys in all walks of life. So get ready to be motivated and inspired. It's The Driven Podcast. What's up, mDrive Nation? This episode goes well beyond the classic notion of drive and inspiration to introduce you to a true world changer, Phil Southerland. Phil was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at a mere 7 months of age, and the doctors told his parents that he probably wouldn't live to see his 25th birthday, and if he did, he'd probably be blind or worse. But neither he nor his parents listened. They got him into sports and other normal kid activities, and Phil quickly found a competitive spirit not only to excel, but to take full control of his condition. He gravitated towards cycling for its many challenges and quickly went from fighting for his life to becoming the collegiate road criterium champion. But he didn't have any heroes that were like him growing up, so he decided to become one himself. He started using cycling as a platform to inspire and inform others, and now, in his early 40s, alongside Team Novo Nordisk, the all-diabetic pro cycling team that he founded, he's become a real deal, real-life superhero to millions around the globe. The extra cool thing is that he wouldn't trade his diabetes for anything because of the lessons he's learned and the control it's given him with regards to maintaining and understanding his own health. So come on and take a life-changing, life-affirming ride-along with a hero driven to go well beyond his own limits, Phil Southerland. 3, 2, 1. Hey, mDrive Nation, Rick Baroff here with another awesome blast of the Driven Podcast. We've got the amazing Phil Southerland here, who is the founder of Team Novo Nordisk, all diabetic cycling team, which I'm super excited to talk about, and the founder of Supersapiens, which we will jump into too. It's a real-time glucose monitoring system, which just helps everybody, not just diabetics, but everyone. Cool. Phil, how the heck are you?
Doing great, Rick. It's great to reconnect with you after, 16, 17 years now?
Yeah, a couple of years, back in our teenage days, I think. Tell us a little bit about your cycling history, and we'll get back in. We'll eventually get to the Race Across America. But, your story is amazing. Tell us how it all started.
It's really cool to be talking to you because it just brings me back to being 24 years old again, and anything in the world was possible because the power of the youth, right? For me, I had diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at 7 months of age. My parents were told I'd be dead or blind by 25. They found out really when I was young that if I was active and moving, it was easier to control my glucose, and I had numbers more like they had, which parents without diabetes. And so they got me into sport, and it was swimming and football, baseball, racquetball, the whole 9 yards. I learned early in sport, if I had good control of glucose, I could win. Bad control, I would lose. And the third, I think the lesson that applies to all of us in the world, because glucose does matter for all of us, is that on the days that I was active, it was much easier to manage my diabetes and get good numbers. Ironically, I started riding bikes, I call it competitively, for candy bar, because I had a Snickers bar at school. My glucose went to 350. I knew that was a number that I could go blind from if I kept going there. So did a little test and rode my bike to the gas station. Higher and got a Snickers bar. Rode my bike around the neighborhood till my legs hurt. Came home and my glucose was perfect. So I did it again the next day, and that was my entry into cycling. Just so I could eat food and on the bike I was normal, and that was quite liberating.
So explain for folks who don't know, there are diabetes most people are aware of, but there are two types of diabetes.
And so it's type 1 is an autoimmune condition. It's the body attacks your beta cells, which produce insulin. Essentially, you have to immediately go on insulin, or you'll die. And so it's I think diabetes only chooses the champions, right? in today's world, there are phenomenal insulins. There's continuous glucose monitors, which I'm able to look at my wrists, check my glucose 100 times a day, take action. It's a really good time to have diabetes. And because of the work of Team Type 1, Team Novo Nordisk, we've really helped people with diabetes all around the world know that they can do anything they want, right? Mm-hmm. That's Type 1 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, it's a genetic condition also. Most of the onset of Type 2 happens because of how you were raised, and it is the body has like God-given amount of insulin that you're able to produce or to use. Once you burn that out, then that begins the onset of Type 2. The thing about Type 2 is that it's progressive disease, and really there's a negative stigma out there associated with Type 2. So first you're told you have Type 2, and then you're a failure. People just associate it with obesity, and it's not the case, right? It's if we all live to be 150 years old, everyone would get Type 2 diabetes, and so Type 2 is you go on diet and exercise, and then when that doesn't work, then you go to a first pill, and then after a year that doesn't work, and then the next one, and so it's this like ongoing journey to get to a motivation for glucose optimization. And then there's prediabetes, which is, right now, I think the number is 90 million people in the States have prediabetes. Crazy. And so the fact of the matter is, I guess glucose matters for everyone. If you have Type 1 diabetes, Type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, or you're a professional athlete, striving to win the Tour de France, glucose matters. And then two, we can all optimize our glucose, and exercise, is still that $1 billion drug that really Supersapiens is prescribing to the planet as a means to take control of your glucose and live a great, long, healthy, happy life. So we're all part of the same family. We're everyone in the world, and I think we all get a little bit more active as individuals. We can inspire our family to get active, and then get a healthier and happier society going forward.
Yeah, right on. So let's go back. You're underselling yourself, I think, a little bit. I mean, as I know you were very competitive also from a young age, and you were very driven. And again, that obviously plays into founding the cycling team and whatnot. So talk about your drive early on. I mean, even with your condition, you became, I think, a champion, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I probably had a little chip on my shoulder because I had football coaches that benched me because I had diabetes, and it wasn't because I wasn't a good athlete. They just were scared of putting a kid with diabetes into the game, and what's going to happen? Are they going to be the cause of my death?
That's a great lesson. Yeah, for people out there. Yeah.
But for me, the bike, was the beauty of cycling is it never gets easier. You just go faster. And so I had a great group of guys in Tallahassee, Florida, where I grew up, who would get me into group rides, and it started with mountain bikes. And then I got on the road. I made money in my first road race, and was like, I was a poor, my family had no money. I was raised by a single mom. So the fact that I could make some money doing something I loved at 16 years old was pretty cool. So I really started to focus on road cycling. Did junior national championships in '99. I didn't finish the road race or criterium, which was a massive disappointment. The failure, I think failure in sport is, just the ability to, look within yourself and get really driven to not fail again. And so I, set the goal in the year 2000, my final year as a junior, top 10 in nationals. I achieved that target. I was 8th place in the junior national criterium championships. Wow. Went to the University of Georgia. When I was a junior, I wanted to win, at all cost. So, I remember my last year as a junior, I crashed 8 times, normally in the final corner of the race, but then I won 9 races. So my equation for success was if I could win more than I crashed, then it was a good year. Then was able to get top 10, again, 9th place at the U23 National Road Race Championships. I had an offer to go race professionally in Europe, but in college. But if I did that, I would have been kicked off my mom's insurance plan. And we couldn't afford the cost of insulin, and test strips were actually what was the most expensive back then. So I stayed in school. And then after winning the SEC Criterium Championships for University of Georgia, I met a guy with diabetes, Joe Eldridge. He said, "It's cool seeing you win. It's proof that one day I can win too. You're my hero." And I was like, "Huh, that was interesting. I'd never heard that before." Right. So over the next, call it 6 to 12 months, Joe and I's friendship evolved. I inspired him to improve his diabetes control. He did. He said, Phil, thanks. Because of you, I'm going to see my grandkids grow up one day. You've changed my life. And so I was on again, I was my second senior year at the University of Georgia. I didn't have a car. It was finals week. And so I didn't have the time to do my 30-hour base week. So I thought I'm going to ride my bike home. My mom said, "You're crazy. It's 300 miles. How are you going to get here?" There were no Google Maps at the time. So I had 11 turns that I taped onto my my handlebar and set off. And this was in the Lance Armstrong heyday, where I saw the impact that sport had on the cancer community. And I had no heroes with diabetes. There's no one I looked up to. There was nothing but negativity about our disease state and your long-term outcomes. And based on what I'd done for Joe, I said, you know what, we can use the bike as a platform to inspire, educate, empower people affected by diabetes. Awesome. The idea came on a bike ride, like all good ideas do, and was able to do my management class with Dr. Epperson. 25% of the grade was a business plan. So Team Type 1 business plan class project. I actually made a C in the grade, but I did get my first $400 of venture funding from a guy named Daniel Hopkins, and set off on the mission to use sport and the bike as a platform to change the world, the way the world views people with diabetes, but more importantly, to change the way people with diabetes look within themselves. And we've been wildly successful, but it's been a 17-year journey off the back of 23 years of being driven for success in sport. And I don't know, I've been blessed, fortunate.
No, that's amazing. That's awesome. I'm hoping that everybody out there can take something away from this. Of course, even in the best of health, I take away the inspiration from you. So my big question in there is, has there ever been a point where you've, let's say, thought of yourself as normal? Was there always that thing in the back of your mind? How did you think of yourself back then during all these times? Even when you were winning, did you still think of yourself as maybe a person with a disability, let's call it, or were you just like, hey, I'm just a normal dude and I'm competitive and I'm going to just show everybody that? I
mean, I was an athlete who wanted to win, right? I always had ambition in sport, and it was, so, on the bike, everyone has to eat, right? It's, if someone without diabetes bonks, right, because they have low glucose. So I remember, in my college years, we'd go on these 5-hour, full gas training rides in the mountains with me and my local professional training buddies. And then when my friends were laying on the ground as we get to the car, I checked their glucose and they were hypoglycemic. They had actually bonked. And so it was fun.
Theirs. Wow. Okay. That's cool. Yeah.
It was fun to see, data really early on, from this was glucose testing before continuous route, that, we're a whole lot more similar, than the textbooks would create. And so cycling and sport, was that great, equalizer. So I never looked at myself as disease. I never looked at myself as less than someone else. I mean, maybe my bank account was less and I was shorter than others. And, and in college, I looked like I was 14 years old. I had other things outside of diabetes that you could quickly make fun of me for. With diabetes, that was mind control, and I really, if you want to talk about, the theme of driven, right, was driven from a 6 years old on to not go blind from diabetes, and then driven to use diabetes, to control glucose as a means for success in sport. I found a system that worked for me, and it's, I don't diabetes can cause pretty drastic consequences. If it's not managed, it's easy to make mistakes in. Average person with type 1 diabetes makes 300 life or death decisions a day, right? Wow. It's a mental burden that, people don't understand. And I think if you watch, our documentary, Ride for Your Life, which came out this year, you can really get a look inside what it's like to live as an athlete with diabetes through the lens of the athletes of Team Novo Nordisk.
It's great piece. Yeah,
I'm privileged to have this, disease. I think I'm healthier now than I would be if I didn't have diabetes.
Interesting.
And if someone offered me a cure tomorrow that said, "Phil, take this magic pill, your diabetes goes away," I'm not going to take it, because this is the one thing in my life that I can own and I can control. Business, family, all those things, they're there. We all have our challenges. But diabetes is mine, and I own it, and I win with it 99% of the time. And I want to use that as a platform to help the rest of the population also win in their own personal diabetes game, 100% of the time.
Awesome. That's amazing. And that will, I guess, that sort of leads us up to that step two, the race across America, which I believe was still a whole nother ball of wax for you at the time. Race Across America is a cross-country bike race. Get from one ocean to the other as fast as possible. There are individual people who do it, which is just mind-blowing. And there are a number of different teams out there that are doing it. You did it in a 4-person team the first time when we met. You did 8-person? Oh, was it 8? Oh gosh, I don't know why I remember 4 people, but okay, so you did an 8-person team, and you of course went on to win it a handful of other times. So just talk quickly about how your decision, and because that was almost like your launch of Team Type 1, right?
I mean, it was really. I gave a speech at a Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, cycling Ride to Cure. People said, "Look, Phil, we've never heard so much positivity of diabetes. Like, you need to do something big. Ride your bike across America." I just graduated college with $70,000 in debt, and trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I was like, well, I can't afford a month to ride across America, but we could do RAM, right? So put a team together. And then in November, again, I was 23, looked like I was 16, saying I was going to raise $1 million to put an all diabetic team in the Race Across America. And everyone looked at me like, you're absolutely crazy. Like, this is not possible, not going to happen. And, the bike industry came around. Lightspeed was an early sponsor, Herbert Crable, the only guy at Interbike who told me no, but he eventually came around and gave me some bike. Yeah. Steve Blick was at Oakley. He hooked us up, and others. But I got put on the game changed for me when I got put on a continuous glucose monitoring trial in October, November of 2005. And then, I've been checking my glucose 20 times a day, for a bunch of years, supreme control of diabetes. I thought I knew everything, but in 20 days with the continuous glucose monitor, I learned more about what everything did to my body than in 23 years of obsessing about glucose control. Wow. And we had this big platform to do the Race Across America. And I said to my doctor, I said, look, this is the tool that I need to make sure we do this safely. Because I didn't want to be a martyr where one of us died in the middle of the country and then use that as a negative platform to raise more money for a cure. No, we needed to empower people. And to empower people, we needed to succeed. And I knew to succeed, we had to have this continuous glucose monitor. So I pitched Abbott Diabetes Care back in January 25th, 2006. They agreed that night over a glass of wine to fund us. And we got the devices the day before the race in 2006. So here, 8 of us with diabetes, all using brand new technology that we'd never gotten to use in a race environment before. And we're quickly trying to learn, figure things out. What works for you? How's this impacting you? Yada, yada, yada. But, the start line that year, and I think you'll remember, people looked at us like we were, a group of freaks, right? They, like a team of diabetics, good luck. We hope you finish. And it's like, we're not here to finish. We're here to win. And
nice kits. It's cool,
We had nice kits, and I was confident. I put a lot of work into preparation, and and I was extremely fit, extremely lean, and I was ready to win the race. Like, that was my sole goal. But the rest of the Race Across America community just thought, well, we think this is cute, or it's cool, it's inspiring, but the fact that we were there to win, even our own PR team, if I go back, was a team Vailby. They're going to be impossible to beat, right?
They were,
and they were amazing guys. Like, I rode bikes with Nat Ross and team a couple months ago in Arkansas.
Oh, cool!
Reminiscing on that race and what an amazing competition it was. But we figured out that if our glucose was between 140 and 180, we felt good. Wow. In the second half of the race, were able to titrate much more effectively. We went faster, and 5 days, 16 hours, 4 minutes, which was a world record in the 8-person division. Lo and behold, we lost the race to Vail Beaver Creek, a team of pro mountain bikers, by 3 minutes. So that was beautifully devastating, I like to say. Again, failure helps motivate the drive for success. The impact we had on the diabetes community was phenomenal. We created heroes for people and a team of people with diabetes. I mean, I saw kids with pride that they never had before, parents with tears in their eyes because they knew their kids were going to be okay one day. And we knew we had to win, right? This community deserved champions. So we pulled in other sponsors in the pharma medtech space. We knew how to control our glucose to perfection. And that next year, Vail Beaver Creek was again our number one competition. Amazing guys, and we were able to win the race. But I guess before that was the start line in the days before the race, year 2, 2007. Everyone knew that we were there to win. Like we were the team to beat. We were the team that was going to set the record. And just seeing how quickly an entire community changed their mindset about us, people with diabetes, because of the platform of sport, was inspiring. So I owe a tremendous set of gratitude to the Race Across America, because that's the race that set us off on this journey, which has now helped us change the world, change access to medicine in developing countries around the world, and bring hope and inspiration to people with diabetes, no matter where you live. Got nearly 10 million fans on social media. We have camps in the summertime now of kids with diabetes who come out for our program. It's just, I like to say, I've got two of the coolest jobs in the world, and bringing this Glucose Matters and helping people optimize their glucose, no matter what you're optimizing for, is something I feel incredibly grateful to have the opportunity.
I know that cycling, probably is, way down the list of most people in America, but I know that your reach is far greater and more prominent, of course, especially in Europe and elsewhere. And that number of just, people who have, either diabetes or pre-diabetic in America alone is just staggering, 90 plus million. That's just such a huge percentage of the population. So yeah, that works into, your team. I mean, you are the founder of Team Novo Nordisk and the managing director, I believe, right? I mean, I saw your film is really great, and I really recommend everybody get out there and watch it. I mean, you can find it on your website, Team Novo Nordisk, Ride for Your Life. It's just a really cool snapshot of not just what it takes. I mean, forget the diabetes. It's just an awesome sort of glimpse in the inner working of just being a pro athlete, which is what I took away. I mean, I understand that, you're trying to, of course, also make the point that these guys have this extra, thing to deal with, but it was just really fascinating to me to see that kind of stuff. So these days, just take us through a day in the life of managing a cool international pro cycling team.
Yeah, I mean, we have a phenomenal partner in Novo Nordisk, right? This next 2023 will be our 10th year as this team. Team Novo Nordisk, the mission to inspire, educate, and empower people affected by diabetes all over the world, and because of the stability, of the partnership, I've been able to, keep my good friend and really the general manager of the cycling team, Vasily Davydenko, at the helm, and Vas does the heavy lifting for the organization. We have a phenomenal team of directors, sportifs, coaches, sports scientists, who are all working to help our athletes optimize to be the best athletes they can be. And they're all very driven to do so, because the more you win, the more you get paid, and the more impact you can have on the world. So, it's, in this day and age, though, I also run a startup company, right? Supersapiens. And, what most people don't know is that, Supersapiens exists today because of Team Novo Nordisk, right? Our athletes have had continuous glucose monitors in their jersey pocket for a lot of years, but data that you can't see is data that you can't take action on. So it was Chip Hawkins, the CEO, founder, or not former CEO. He's the founder of Wahoo Fitness, who, when I said, Chip, I really need this for my athletes, he went out and made it happen. And so December 12th, 2018 was the first day I ever rode with glucose on my bike computer, on my Wahoo Bolt. Wow. And my world changed, right? And 15 days of seeing every data point in front of me, I learned more about how to optimize my fuel for performance than 15 years of having a sensor, CGM in my pocket. And then put it on the athletes of Team Novo Nordisk. These guys, they've been racing bikes with diabetes for years and years. We changed everything we did from a nutritional, and insulin timing standpoint. Their control improved drastically, and we went on to have the best season we ever had. Yeah. So, it was because of this, I thought, this is the best invention I've ever had. Got to bring it to market. And and so was able to, kind of come up with a name, through some cool branding kids, Supersapiens. We had a conversation with Abbott to talk about, taking their technology outside of the diabetes landscape for the world of sport.
Yeah.
We've done that, and our athletes have won, world record in, marathon with Eliud Kipchoge this year. Gustav Iden won Kona.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you had those. Yeah. That's awesome.
Jumbo Visma, for yellow and green at the Tour de France this year. Wout van Aert's been, on our technology. Sepp Kuss, American athlete from day one. Like, they were the first pro athletes to validate, the use of Supersapiens.
Yeah, these are big names in pro cycling. If anybody's still not familiar, but yeah, that's amazing. That's the point I was going to make, is that Supersapiens, especially this system for monitoring your blood glucose real time, is absolutely not just for people with diabetes. It's like you said, a game changer for these incredible cyclists and athletes who do who are really world class. So yeah.
But I mean, the thing that really makes me proud is, because people that for 100 insulin's existed, people with diabetes have been alive for 100 years now.
Yep.
And for the first 100 years of life for people with diabetes, it's been catching up. It's been trying to be normal. But now we flip the script. It's because of Team Novo Nordisk, because of these athletes with diabetes, that now the best athletes in every sport in the world, are using continuous glucose monitoring to optimize their performance. You're in Dallas, Rick. So I'm sure there's a lot of golf fans down there, but I don't know if you've seen, like, Rory McIlroy, did on Instagram how he's using Supersapiens. He said CGM. I know he's using Supersapiens to help optimize his fueling to be the best he can be on the golf course, and that would never have happened if it wasn't for these guys at Team Novo Nordisk. So it's
amazing.
We finally flipped the script that people with diabetes are leading the future of sports performance in the realm of glucose optimization.
There you go. That's awesome. And then, again, like I said, your team success has been amazing. You even have a farm team. And one other amazing, awesome thing, again, I know we touched upon this from the film, is just seeing, that one-to-one outreach, and seeing, young kids who've come up to your team, and they probably, like you, a couple decades ago, let's say, that might not have had any heroes, and now they do. And
the team that we have now, is what I wish existed when I was a kid. Right? Any goal, any dream that I had, there was doubt that surrounded it because it had never been done before. And so, like, it's, I've got this tremendous pleasure. Like, I'm making these kids' dreams come true, so they're grateful to me, but they're making my dream come true, because for the kid like me who's 15 years old with a dream, their parents now know it can come true. Their friends now know it can come true. There's not going to be this surrounding doubt that can really kill drive for a young person. And so it's a unique opportunity, but they're paving the way for the next 100 years of life and domination for the diabetic audience in the world today.
So Supersapiens is not quite available in the U.S. yet, the system, but hopefully will be next year, you think, or when?
We're coming to market in the U.S. We'll get here.
Cool.
Time is right. There's interesting discussions we're having, which might fast track that. But we've got nearly a 2,000 person clinical trial going right now. A lot of the top athletes, and business leaders in the States who are using it. Because look, if you want to be good at the office, you need to optimize your glucose. If you want to have a good night's sleep, you need to optimize your glucose. And if you want to succeed in sport, you definitely need to optimize your glucose. So it's we're just really at the tip of the spear of really understanding, how much glucose matters for everyone in the world. And we'll use sport as a platform to try and help educate the world so that they can begin to take action to be the best of yourself. If you want to live better, you want to feel better, you want to train better, Supersapiens is your tool.
Obviously, it was part of self-reliance, but you've become quite a tech whiz, I guess, in this space too. Were you literally helping develop the technology as well for Supersapiens?
I mean, from the product aspect, I know what matters, right? And so there's a lot of lessons that I've learned from the 200,000 times I've checked my glucose, in my life, that I can then pass forward to our product team and really help us ensure that we get glucose to where people want to see it, right? So, like, getting it to the Energy Band, to the Wahoo, to the Garmin, those are things that as an app company, they don't make sense. But from a value to our consumer company, it's the golden solution. So I wouldn't say I'm a tech whiz by any means, but when it comes to glucose and how to gamify it, there's no one better on the planet than me.
Right on.
I say that humbly, right? I've just had the fortune to have the experience, but it's been a journey. I'll tell you, like, the startup world and the roller coaster. We're nearly 4 years in now. There's days it's a lot like running a cycling team. There's days where celebrations, and then there's days where you're fighting for survival. So the capital markets are an interesting place right now. That's my number one job there is raising money to keep driving the innovation and keep driving the call it the growth in Europe where we are. So it's you have good days, you have bad days, but when you have a clear goal at the end, it allows you to stay motivated in the darkest times because you know what the impact you're going to have. And I think that's again, if it wasn't for my history in sport, if it wasn't for my life with diabetes, we wouldn't be here today. The company would have gone out of business 3 years ago. But sport breeds resilience, and cycling within the realm of sport, I think cycling breeds resilience unlike anything else.
And okay, we'll bring it all the way back around. You're a family man now too. So tell us how that's changed your perspective on everything.
It's being a father is just truly a gift, right? I've got an older daughter, Riley, who is 19, who I got reconnected with recently, which has been truly a pleasure. My wife and I have 3 boys who are 8, 6, and 4. 4-year-old wants to be 10, and it's just seeing them grow and evolve. It's the gift. When I come home from work, if I've had a great day, daddy, daddy, daddy. If I've had a bad day, daddy, daddy, daddy. They're a great equalizer, and seeing them and their drive in sport. And my oldest son Alexander, just loves basketball. He's obsessed, and he trains and he works because he wants to be in the NBA.
All right,
they love to ride bikes, and again, I travel a lot. I work a tremendous amount. But I think my kids see that I go ride my bike, and it's important for me to show them that it doesn't matter what you have going on in life. You still have to prioritize your health. And for me, I know the bike quantifies my health. And so teaching them at a young age that you got to eat good foods, you got to exercise on a regular basis if you want to be the best of yourself. It's a privilege, and it's nothing I love more in the world.
You just being able to imagine it, let alone live it, is awesome, and you're giving this opportunity to thousands, if not millions, of others, through all your work. So that's pretty special and pretty cool. And I know you're aware of that all the time. What's next? I mean, you got some big races planned for the team this year? What's that schedule looking like?
Yeah, we're primarily just because of COVID, a lot of the Asian calendar has been shut down, so it's more difficult to get there. So we have predominantly a European schedule. We'll head to training camp in the south of Spain the last 10 days of January. So that's where, for me, I now have, call it 4 weeks to get my butt in gear, try to get some miles in over the holidays so that I can at least show them that the old man still got it.
Right on, yeah.
For the first 20 minutes of the ride. And so I'll get to go hang out with the guys, and a lot of our partner teams on the Supersapiens side are also in the area. And then the season gets going. But it's gonna be a busy year. I'm excited for it. It's the 100th birthday for Novo Nordisk.
Oh,
so
wow, okay, yeah.
100 years they've been driving change in the world of diabetes. I'm just excited to see what our guys can do. I will say this: 2021, the year of the documentary, was a really tough year. There was a lot of pressure on these guys because it's the 100th anniversary of life for people with diabetes, and it was a burden they carried on their shoulders, which it wasn't healthy. And you'll see it was in the film. It was a difficult year. So when we got to the end of 21, I saw these guys who were living their dreams, that are heroes for so many people in the world, but they were struggling mentally. And in sport and life, mental health is critically important. So I set the tone for 2022 that I don't care about your results. All I care is that you guys have fun. Enjoy the fact that you're professional cyclists. Enjoy the fact that you're heroes for the world of people with diabetes,
Awesome.
And the guys went and had fun in 2022, and
Right, yeah.
we won races. We got on podiums, and we had a good time throughout the year. And so again, I don't care. I'm not going to judge my athletes by the result sheet. I'm going to judge them by the smiles on their faces, after they do their jobs on a daily basis. And I'm just looking forward to see another year of fun for Team Novo Nordisk.
Awesome.
And,
Yeah.
Smiling faces win races. So we'll see what happens.
Totally. Speaking of that, I think you have it's the current Finnish national champion. Is that it, or the
He won the race in 2021.
2021? Okay, cool. He's on the team still.
Jonas Sala, great young man.
Yeah.
He's now a
I mean
father.
that kind of stuff is huge. Again, not we're not talking like some other category. I mean, it's Finnish national champion. They've had some outstanding cyclists for decades, of course. So I mean, this is that's big time stuff. So you Americans, got to get into cycling a little bit more and follow along. And certainly I personally, like I said, obviously still holding on as the old warhorse to some visions of long distance adventuring. I look forward to trying to get my hands on some Supersapiens stuff when it becomes available, because it's everything out there in sport, just how you manage yourself through long and short endeavors. So thank you for helping me one day. Which is
I look
cool.
right back to you. You were a press guy back in 2006, and we had a hell of a show from a visibility standpoint, and that the success, which again you helped with the early days when it was just this small snowball at the top of a hill, and the PR you got us that first year was the push to get this big wheel spinning now. So rewind 16 years. Thank you for what you did for us back then, and it's just awesome to reconnect.
It was tiny. I mean, you've obviously the work you've done since is insane, incredible, and life altering. Again, not just for yourself, but for so many people. And so it's been awesome. I'm sorry it's taken this long to catch up, but we'll stay in there. I'll have to get my butt out to Spain. Sounds cool. If you need a water boy or something. Yeah. Well, awesome, Phil. This has been amazing. I hope it's been, informative as well as inspirational for tons of folks out there. Again, the takeaway is absolutely not, just about, debilitating stuff. It's about, what you can do, how you can be, inspire yourself and change your own path forward. So, Phil, thank you. It's been awesome. That's it. I don't know how else to sign off except that, wow, I love hearing I can read about your story and watch your films, but hearing it firsthand is great. So thank you very much. And look forward to staying in touch.
Awesome, Rick. Thank you very much.
Cool.
And keep driving the world towards being the best they can be.
Thank you.